They are ratios of sides across the angle of interest. So let me tell you about a shortcut that you have to know. The shortcut is this: SOH CAH TOA. Hang in there. I'm going to explain what this is. It's not so hard, so let's not overrate. This one tells me that sine of the angle of interest is equal to the opposite side divided by the hypotenuse side, or the length of the opposite side divided by the length of the hypotenuse. CAH, or cosine of x, is equal to, according to CAH, the adjacent side divided by the hypotenuse side. I think you understood the deal. The first letter is our trigonometric operator, sine or cosine or tangent. The second letter is the numerator of the fraction and the side of a triangle, and the third letter is the denominator of the fraction. It is the side of a triangle. And yeah, figure out tangent by yourself. What is tangent of angle of interest, or angle x? Tangent of the angle x is equal to the opposite side divided by the adjacent side. Yeah, we already know what opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse are, and now we know what sine, cosine, and tangent are. Sine of a certain angle is opposite divided by hypotenuse. Cosine of a certain angle is adjacent side divided by the hypotenuse side. And tangent of a certain angle of interest is the opposite side divided by the adjacent side. So we are now ready to take an example in our hands. All right, let's take a look here. Here I have a triangle, and let's say I have an angle of 30 degrees. And let's say here I have a side measure 3. And let's say I want to find this side x. Whenever you come across problems like that, you need to write SOH CAH TOA as a reminder. Now let's name the sides very quickly. This is the angle of interest. Right across it, you have the opposite side. Here, right across the 90-degree angle, you have the hypotenuse side. And the other side is going to be called the adjacent side because it's connecting the hypotenuse to the angle of interest. So I want to find x. X is my hypotenuse. What do I have? I have the angle and I have the opposite side. So which one should I use? I need the hypotenuse and I have the opposite. I need to use this equation. Sine of the angle, sine of 30 degrees, is equal to opposite divided by the hypotenuse. What is the opposite here? 3. The hypotenuse is x. So sine of 30 degrees is equal to 3 over x. Now, let me ask you, can we rearrange this equation? Sine of 30 degrees is just going to be a certain number. On my calculator, I can calculate sine of 30 degrees. My calculator is set to degrees. So whatever number I write inside of sine, it will understand that I wrote in degrees. So if I put here 30, I will get 1/2. So sine of 30 degrees is 1 over 2. That's what I wrote on my calculator. It gave me that sine of 30 degrees is equal to 1 over 2. That's what my calculator gave me. I didn't memorize that. I don't have to memorize it because on the SAT, you're allowed to use a calculator. Now, how would I solve this problem? How would I have to find sine of 30 degrees on the SAT? On the SAT, I have my Desmos calculator. You should always remember that Desmos calculator, by default, works with radians, not with degrees. So if you put here sine of 30 degrees, it's not gonna understand you, all right? Why? Because Desmos works with radians. So it gave you something different. I said the answer should be 1 over 2, but Desmos gave us this number, which is negative. So how am I supposed to put here angles then? We come back here. We have to put the angles in radians. And what is 30 degrees in radians? 30 degrees is pi over 6 radians. So if I write into sine parentheses pi over 6, I will get 1/2 or 0.5. There you go. This is a very important piece of information that you should remember for the SAT. So now that we have sine of 30 degrees, it is equal to 1/2. We already remember that sine of 30 degrees, according to our SOH CAH TOA equations, should be equal to the opposite over hypotenuse side of this triangle, and it's equal to 3 over x. In order to find x, I can just replace everything. Hey, let's combine those two equations. 1 over 2 is equal to 3 over x. I wrote 1 over 2 because sine of 30 is 1 over 2, so I can replace it like that. And can I find x? Yes, I can. Cross multiply both sides with x. X will cancel here, and you will get 1/2 x is equal to 3. and multiply both sides by 2, multiply it by 2, multiply it by 2. This will cancel out. And what you get is this. X is equal to 3 times 2, or just 6. Oh yeah, X is equal to 6. So this is my hypotenuse. This is equal to 6. Do you remember 30, 60, 90 degree triangles? For 30, 60, 90 degree triangles, this was already given. If this is X, then the hypotenuse must be 2X, and the side here at the bottom must be, let's say 30, 60, 90, must be X times root 3. So we were looking for a 30, 60, 90 degree triangle's 2x side. We already knew x. X was given right across 30 degrees. We had 3, and 2x is obviously 6. But we didn't determine it using the Pythagorean theorem or the relationships on the exam. We determined it using trigonometry. So we're going to practice a little bit more now. We are going to go back to the question that I asked in the beginning. Hey, take a look here. Can you determine x? All right, let's try to determine x using trigonometry. So in order to find x, I can see that I only have one side and one angle. I can use trigonometry. So I write SOH CAH TOA. In this case, I have which side do I have? This is the opposite, because it's right across the 35 degree angle of interest. This is the hypotenuse, because it's right across 90 degrees, and the other side is called the adjacent. So I have the adjacent. So I will tick the equations where I have adjacent. And what else do I need? I need to find the hypotenuse. So which equation has hypotenuse? This one. So I will use CAH. Cosine of 35 degrees is supposed to be equal to the adjacent divided by the hypotenuse. Now let me ask you, do I have the hypotenuse? I don't. Do I have the adjacent? I do. Adjacent is equal to 3, hypotenuse is equal to x. So cosine of 35 degrees is supposed to be equal to 3 over x. I can rearrange this equation, multiply both sides by x, and I will get here x times cosine of 35 degrees is equal to 3. And I'm doing everything step by step so that even students that don't know algebra, they can follow this. But if you can do it faster, then it's even better. And now I have to divide both sides by cosine of 35 degrees because this is an algebraic equation. And by doing that, what I'm going to get is x, because cosine of 35 divided by cosine of 35 is b divided by b, a divided by a. It's always 1. It's 1. Same thing divided by the same thing is 1. So I get x times 1, which is just x, is equal to 3 over cosine of 35 degrees. Hey, we have found x. Now all we have to do is we have to plug this equation into our calculator. I have a calculator here, and this calculator is a Casio calculator. The link to this calculator's model I will also upload on the website. You will be able to find it very easily, but I'm going to put into this calculator 3 divided by cosine of 35 degrees, and the calculator gives me 3.66. All right, so what does it mean? That means x is equal to 3.66. That is it. X is equal to 3.66. So this side's length is 3.66 because this is 35 degrees and this is 3 units long. I was able to determine that using trigonometry. I was able to determine which equation I have to use, SOH, CAH, or TOA, depending on what I need. Sorry for that. So I needed here the hypotenuse and I had the adjacent, and this equation has the hypotenuse and the adjacent. So I took the cosine of 35 degrees. All right, so this is our trigonometric rule, SOH, CAH, TOA. Depending on which angle you have, you will have an opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse side. And depending on which side you have and which side you're looking for, you will use one of these 3 rules, SOH or CAH or TOA.